Alright, so it was my intention to cover balance discussion, so to speak. For those who haven't been following the community posts I've been putting out, I've recently declared that it's my intention to go over the balance of Robocraft 1, with the intention of not only providing a personal perspective on the matter, but also to give the Robocraft community an opportunity to share their voice on the matter. However, in any case, I intended on covering legs as a first topic, and other things have come up and I haven't quite gotten around to fully preparing for that, although I have a pretty clear idea at the moment of what I'd like to go with in that regards. So anyway, in the meantime, you're enjoying this lovely little Tesla footage from back way when, and obviously things aren't going very well in this match, but that's okay. Anyway, aside from balance related things, some new information has come out as regards to Robocraft 2 that some of you may be interested in. An announcement has been made, and it's a pretty heavy announcement. Some people won't necessarily be in full agreement with some of the changes that are being made, but with that being said, it is a very early stage of the development, and so changes are going to be happening, and everybody concerned wants Robocraft 2 to be the best Robocraft that it can be. So with that being said, one of the first changes that they've mentioned is that they will be they'll be moving from a automated defense system to a manual defense system, which basically means that whereas before, when the reactor gets exposed, what would happen is that towers would pop up and they would start defending the base against attackers. Now, what will be happening in its place is that there will be manual defense stations that pop up, and a player would literally need to go out of their way to get to the defense station to defend the base, which it'll shake things up a little. A further change is that the map will be seeing some changes. Apparently, we'll see how those changes work out when they go live at some point in future, probably not too long from now. And little things like the susceptibility of the reactor to attack, things like mobility for vehicles in general. Those things are nice overall. And then we get to some more interesting and potentially controversial changes, most notable of which is the removal, or the effective removal, of engines as a functional part, for as far as you know at the moment, from Robocraft 2. So, for those who don't know, in Robocraft 2, in order to power one's wheels, one needs to have, at least as of present, engines that are active and able to power those wheels. Now, there were issues with the engines, most notable of which was the ability to leave the engines themselves on the switch plates and to have them power your vehicle halfway across the map, so that's fun. But in addition to that, there were issues concerning, well, little bugs like the way that manual shift gearing on engines worked. Long story short, if you had an engine that is manual and is on first gear or similar, it would have a much better acceleration and potentially also top speed than any engine would on automatic gearing. If you haven't tried it, while you still can do so, give it a try. It's insane. So, and that is something that I've incorporated into the few builds that I've fully fleshed out as of so far. Personally opting for a 50-50 split, more or less, between automatic engines, because there's the convenience of automatic gear shifts, as well as manual engines, typically on low gears, to give it a real push and allow heavier builds to gain a fair bit of mobility, even if that ends up smashing me against the walls a bit more times than I'd like to admit. So yeah, there's that. So anyway, it seems that this is no longer going to be a possibility A further thing is that they are, as in by them I mean FreeJam, intend on unifying the engine, the wheel rig, and the actual tire to be a single entity. So it will no longer be the case that these parts will be separate. The engine will be kind of in the background, as in it won't actually be physically present upon the bot in any practical form. It will be, it's just not there, or it will be cosmetically included. That's a high probability that we'll see it being cosmetically included, unless of course FreeJam should decide to turn engines into a speed boost part, for example, which is not, it's not an unreasonable prospect, depending on how things go. Or perhaps heading towards then energy production, if they should introduce an energy production system in the game. This is up in the air at this point. Speaking of energy production, it is to be noted that other things are also being not scaled back, removed. Well, long story short, they're removing the shorter versions, the shorter variants of the weapons in the game. So at the moment there are both lasers and plasmas, and these weapons have two variants. They have the short variant and the long variant. The short variant, in my opinion, is the better variant, for the simple reason that they have more firepower overall. And I must admit that the fact that a person can choose to have more firepower for a weapon at the same CPU cost is something that it becomes kind of a no-brainer unless there's a real trade-off. And the trade-offs for the long variants weren't really there. Now, do I agree with the removal of the short variants? Not really, because I personally think that more parts in the game generally leads to a greater diversity, and it can also, well, basically enrich the game. It's what Robocraft is all about. The more variety you have, the better. And it is, after all, about, you know, creativity. We don't want it to ever become a case of stick a barrel upon a turret, and that is what it is. But that being said, it is again very early days, and we'll have to see how that goes. Other changes. It is intended that FreeJam will be incorporating more colors at some point in the future, we don't know when. Also more quality of life features. Hopefully that will include mirror mode, but there's no guarantees at this point in time. Mirror mode, in my opinion, is the most important quality of life feature to include, especially in a situation where players are potentially being asked to build new builds from scratch based upon the new changes being implemented, things that were functional in a situation where engines existed might not still be as functional post update. We'll have to see. And we're also hearing news as regards to both the CRF2, which from what I understand will be opening up to the purchasing of bots. Now, what they mean by purchasing, I'm not entirely sure. I hope it's more of a rent system rather than outright purchasing, because that would be a little too Robocraft 1, and Robocraft 1's system does have issues. And also, and this is a big one, the opening up of the alpha, the multiplayer testing to more players, and that we'll see in the future. Exactly how open it's going to be, that's not certain. Most likely it's going to be limited at first, and then it'll be opened up at a point later in the year. So that's all I have for you at the moment in terms of updates. Oh wait, they are also incorporating tank tracks. Tank tracks are a thing, or they're going to be a thing, and that's a cool thing. Judging by what they're doing with regards to wheels and engines and such, I suspect it's going to be a fixed or very limitedly customizable part, but there'll be tank tracks nonetheless, and it'll be interesting to see how those fit in a situation where the current wheels or the future wheels exist. So, in any case, that's all I have for you for the moment. Let me know your thoughts down below. I'd be happy to meet you in the comments. I hope you enjoyed this bit of Tesla gameplay going on. And yeah, that's it. Thank you for watching.